Have you been wondering why a lot of people are going into podcast business today? This is because you don't actually need to be a celebrity or a reporter or a journalist before you start your own podcast business. Anybody can do this. The only thing that you need is passion, planning. And if you're interested in going into this thing, right now we are going to dive into this video. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, guys. My name is Ebys'Lady and I'd like to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing the simplest and easiest steps that you can actually take if you want to go into a podcast business. Podcast is a program, audio show, or a video show that is in a digital format. It comes that you can actually download over the internet, and it comes in series or episode. Anybody can do this. So right now, the first thing that you actually need to do if you want to start a podcast business that is going to make you money today is to develop a concept. Developing a concept for your podcast is one of the greatest things that you need to do for you to stay committed in the show, because you need a concept that can actually help you to attract listeners to your show. If you don't have any concept, it's actually going to be hard for you to start. So the main thing and the main question I'm going to ask you today right now, and we are going to be answering this question, is why podcast? And why do I want to start a podcast? A lot of people have different reasons why they want to go into podcasts. Either they want to have fun or they want to, treat certain topics. But for the purpose of this video, we are going to be starting a podcast because we actually want to make money and we want to promote our business. We want to generate leads to our business. There are brands that are looking for you. There are people that want to do certain things for you, and we want to make money for this. This is what you need to put in place. If you want to make money with a podcast, you actually need to take certain steps. That is why we want to start it, and that is the goal. We want to make money with this podcast. And the next thing that you actually need to do is to choose a topic. What topic do you want to go into the podcast? There are different kinds of topics that you can actually invent in or dive into. We have comedy, we have music, we have sports, and we have news. Depends on the kind of topic that you can actually talk about. Or you can actually research about any topic so that to know if you can actually talk about this. So going into research to be sure of the topic that you know that you can actually talk about is very necessary for you to go into starting this podcast. And the next thing that you actually need to do is to give your podcast a name. What is the title of your podcast? Your podcast needs to represent who you are and the type of podcast that you want to start. You need to give it a clear name, a concise name, a similar name that people might not find it hard, to pronounce or to look for. So if you're looking for names, you can actually go into Apple Podcasts to check the names of people are using to be sure that nobody has already chosen your domain name. So these are things that you need to put in place if you actually want to go into podcast. Is to develop a concept that can actually attract people, listeners to your show, audience who are ready to engage in your show. And the next thing, number 2, is to choose a format. There are different ways that you can actually start a podcast. There are types of podcasts that you actually want to do. Do you want to go into solo podcasts, or do you want to go into co-hosts, interviewing people? These are things you need to put in place. If you're going to be co-hosting, you need only 2 or 1 person so that you can actually schedule, because sometimes your schedule might not even rhyme, and you actually need to know the kind of format that you need. There are different kinds of formats. We have interview formats, we have scripted non-fiction format, we have tiny theater format, we have newscap format, we have educational format. So it depends on you, on the type of format that you actually want to use in the podcast. This one is lying on you. And there are scripted ones. You can actually script your podcast. Yes, you can actually script your podcast. Some of those podcasts that you see, they script them. We know all those things. So you actually need to know if you just want to talk on what is trending topic, what is actually happening, anyhow you want to put it. These are things that you actually need to put in place. And the next thing that you need to do is to know How many days will I be able to publish? I will not advise you to publish every day because you're going to burn out. So publishing at least once in a week is actually very, very good. You need to be consistent. Consistency is the key. Not after publishing one day, then the next one is next 3 months or next 2 months. It's not actually going to work. You're going to lose followers. There are quite lots of people, thousands of people doing the same business, and you want to make money. So you need to always be present for your audience, for your listeners. They are waiting for you. If you have good content, definitely they'll be waiting for you to watch through all that. They'll be waiting for you to watch you. Definitely they'll be waiting for you. So, but at least you need to be promoting and posting, publishing once in a week minimum. And how long do I go? How can I go? You can decide to go as how many minutes that you can. Some people do their podcast for 5 minutes, some people do for 10 minutes, and some people do for 20 minutes. As long as you can go, you can actually decide how many hours that you can actually go for your podcast, guys. And the next thing that you actually need to do is to set up your podcast equipment. You don't actually need to buy expensive podcast equipment for you to start your podcast. So the things, basic things that you need is what you need to buy. You need a laptop, you need a phone or a camera. If you're going into video podcast, which can be done on YouTube, you can actually, the best place to do it is on YouTube. If you want to go for audio shows, you understand, you need a good microphone that can be able to, pass the information that has good quality. So there are different types of mic. We have dynamic mic and condenser mic. So I'll advise you to go for dynamic microphone. Dynamic microphone is actually going to help you to lessen the noise frequency. So, and you can also go for USB or SLR connection. For beginners, USB mic is actually easier to purchase. You understand? You can actually get them, and use it for your podcast, and it's a very, very good one. Look for the ones that has good quality. So if you're going to co-host, that means you need to buy more than one microphone, and all of the costs, they're going to cost you up to like $1,000 or more than that, or even before that, within that range. But if you're going to do solo podcast, maybe you're going to spending like $100 or $70 or $200, depending on the kind of mic that you need. So you actually need a good mic that can actually help you to promote yourself. And number four thing that you actually need to put in place is to choose and set up your software. Every podcast that you see today, they use software to develop them and to publish them. And there are free software that you can use, and there are also paid software where you can actually pay. We have Audacity is free. We also have Riverside FM. This one, they allow you to, stream live and also pick calls from listeners as well. So you choose the one that you know that you can actually pay for. Some of them are more than $10. So you should also make sure that you can actually pay for some of these things. There are some that has free trials. So you can actually choose the software that can actually work for you. You can also use Zoom, but don't use Snapchat for your podcast software. And the next thing that we need to do right now, the next one, number 5 step that you need to do is to record your first episode. Congratulations, you are getting there first. So while recording your first episode, there are things that you need to put in place. The first thing is your podcast outline. You should have an outline. This should not be hard for you to shoot your first episode, whether it's video, whether it's audio. So all you need to do is to arrange your podcast outline. If you have your co-host, make sure that your co-host has the podcast outline as well, so that people can study and research about what you are going to be talking about, so that not on the first episode you'll be rambling about it. So you need to research about it. And the next thing you need to do is you're going to record in a very cool room. You can actually use a studio, or you can arrange your own comfortable home as a studio for you to record your podcast business. So recording your podcast business should be fun. You should be able to have a good microphone, good connection, good microphone connection, your laptop, you connect them, you connect your USB mic for you to be able to record your first episode. So recording your episode, first episode, whether it's audio, whether it's video, you need to record in a very cool room that has furniture and curtains so that there will be no echo in your videos or in your audio. You need to also record with outlines. Know the outlines of the video so that you don't make mistakes. After recording your first episode, congratulations, we did it. The next thing is to edit your podcast. Editing your podcast should not be hard. You need to eliminate all the noises. Make sure that your intro is very, very fine. Your outro should also be very, very fine because these are going to hook your audience to stay on the show. If your outro and your intro are not going to hook people, your listeners to stay, it's going to be a problem. So you need to edit them very, very well so that it can be able to hook your audience. And you can also make sure that you use a good music. If you cannot pay for music, you can look for free royalty music so that you can actually add on that intro. And the next thing that you can do is to create an artwork, cover page, cover artwork for your work. Just like YouTube, we have thumbnails. This particular podcast will also need a thumbnail or an artwork. So the artwork needs to be popping. It needs to be fine. It needs to have colors that can attract people to be able to click. This is what you need to actually do. And the next thing that you actually need to do is to make sure that you have podcast hosts where you can host your podcast. Just like DistroKid, hosting different music, you understand, digital platforms. You set up your podcast hosting. This is like a home where all the audios will be stored. And these people will now distribute your audio files to the podcast platforms like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all of the places that it needs to be. And the next thing is to get listed on podcast directory. Right now, all your podcasts your audio files will be in these platforms: Apple Music, Spotify, Google, YouTube. Any of the above places that you want your podcast to be, they are going to be there when they are listed on the directories. Now we are getting set to launch our business right now. Congratulations if you have watched up to this moment right now. This is the right time to launch, grow your business, and build up traffic, and make sure that you are advertising. You can use sponsored ads on social media, word of mouth, do some commercials for people to know that you are actually starting this kind of business. And the next thing that you actually need to do is to monetize it. Before the monetization, you can also have a website. Build a website. There are places that you can actually build a website where people can also go and visit and watch some clips and watch some audios there. And the next thing is to monetize your podcast business. Once you have grown and build your audience to a particular number, at least you need good following so that you can actually monetize your podcast. Once you have that traffic, you have engaging listeners, definitely brands will be looking for you. You'll be getting sponsored ads and you'll be getting advertisement. Actually, people will be paying you for advertisement to promote their businesses under your particular podcast. And you can also make money through subscription. People can pay for some certain content that you actually want to give them. I'm telling you, there's so much money to pick on this particular podcast business if you're ready to start your own podcast business. You can also sell your merch as long as you are, getting traffic on your page. Definitely, people will definitely buy whatever that you are selling as long as that thing has quality and is good. You start building your fans. And you can also do affiliate marketing there, where you can actually sell products, market other people's products, promote other people's products, you understand? And you can actually make commission on that. If you enjoy watching my videos, guys, please subscribe to my channel. It's your baby girl, Ebys'Lady on the beat. Thank you for always coming back to watch my videos. And right now, see you next time. Bye bye, guys.